Is Chris there? Is he in there? Is there another meeting?
I'm over here.
Okay. Hi. Our little gnome in the closet. Yeah, so it's 6:32. I guess we can call this a meeting officially to order. We have a guest here tonight, Chief. Welcome. Obviously not really an agenda item, but I think before we do anything or obviously we don't have any public comment coming. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay,
So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got the speaker.
yeah, make sure that's on and.
Okay.
I guess you just can go and sit right down. We'll be right with you.
Okay. Thanks, Gage, for having me. Just let you know, just give you a little history on what just happened in the last, few hours. I met with Jackie and the town manager, Eileen Cavanaugh, just about some of the vandalism that's been occurring on the property of the Conservation Committee, including like 80 acres and behind the school, and some of the trails and stuff like that, which has been going on for years. And we try our best to get into those areas when we can. Obviously, sometimes it's difficult to get into them, but it is our duty and our responsibilities to make sure we keep an eye on the property because it's owned by the town of Merrimack and includes buildings and grounds and parks and everything else. So we have that obligation to make sure that there's no vandalism going on. So we kind of met today just to talk about some planning. What can we do extra to try to help out? As you know, we have the ATV grant that comes out every year by Fish and Game. Years ago, it was like $3,000 or $4,000. Now it's down to, in the past few years, under $1,000, which doesn't really cover a lot of details for us, and but enough for about 3 or 4. We have not expended that money yet this year, only because it's been rainy and we've been trying to stay off the trails. So we're getting ready to deploy those details. So after discussion with Jackie and the town manager, we come up with the idea of authorizing, or the town manager's authorized some overtime for the bicycle patrols to get into these areas. So to show more presence. So more presence you have, and hopefully it'll deter people from vandalizing, which is probably more than likely some kids doing some of the recent stuff, such as the signs up by Marauders Bridge and stuff. So with presence, we're going to try our best to get into that area and deeper into the woods and along the trail system. So with that, I think we came up with the idea that I'm not sure if somebody from the Conservation Committee is going to reach out to the National Planning Region Committee, I believe, and get some maps and shows exactly the areas that the hotbeds are for vandalism. And once we receive those, then we'll come up with a plan of when to get in those areas and where to go exactly to try to keep an eye on them.
Okay, that'd be great. I think you were there when we met with the town council before. That we're going to have our reports are going to go through Tim Thompson downstairs now. So we start keeping a little bit better records of, because we've reported stuff internally, we've reported stuff to police, and it doesn't really have a good channel. So, Jackie, thank you for spearheading this. We appreciate it. But this will be good, I think, probably get us a little bit more formalized. Because, we have an idea of where we think the problems are, but without recording it on a regular basis, we don't, it's like, my memory is this spot, and your memory is that spot. So this will be good to get some formalization behind it.
And I was at that meeting with Tim Tenhaven to try to, how to report everything, how we should go through Tim and get it down to the police department to start, at least funneling and documenting how things get reported and everything. But I think at least today, it was nice that the town manager authorized the expenditure of some overtime specifically for the purpose of vandalism.
Yeah, this is good timing because the maps, we do have, we just got some new maps made. NRPC did some maps, so we'll have a good, you'll have a good map now of the actual trails.
Right.
So that would be helpful. So we can get that. Certainly get that together and get it. For the time being, do we want to go through you?
Yeah, for the time being, come right through me, and then I'll funnel down through the operations captain, which is Denise Roy. She was at the meeting today.
Right.
So she'll probably coordinate, when the patrols are going to be out there, and there'll be random times, depending on what time. Obviously, right now, I think a lot of the vandalism is probably coming right after school. I think they're using that trail, to head towards the. That side of Turkey Hill Road and stuff like that. I also want you to know, it's not just about the overtime to do the patrols. The guys are responsible for their routes, throughout the shifts to check on the parks. So that'll continue also.
Okay. Well,
Matt, you had some vandalism at the gates?
Yeah, not specifically reported, via phone call or anything like that, but we put up some gates on on Greater Road, you know, that connects Wilson
Right.
Hill into Amherst. When the quads have wanted to get around them, they've just disassembled the gates to get through. So, you know, we're trying to keep an eye on it and do a better job of getting them really tight so that they can't be disassembled that easily.
Right. Any time and dates, you know, exactly when it's happening, or?
Yes, I can give you the
Yeah,
date,
you know,
time.
we can get down some specifics and stuff like that, would be great.
Yeah,
Try
I
to
can
get the
give
patrols and
you the registration number of the quad that did it too.
Oh, okay, we'll take that information, that's great.
We can probably backtrack a little bit and come up with some good records to start with,
Yeah.
so.
So at least we got a plan, and again, once I receive those maps, you know, myself and Captain Royal just discuss, you know, where we're gonna deploy the patrols and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
Are we going to discuss the vandalism to Merrill's Marauders Bridge at a later time during this meeting, or we?
I guess we can discuss it now. I mean,
Okay. I just wanted to give a shout out because on Facebook, Chris Burke from Chris Burke's Painting volunteered to clean up some of the vandalism that's occurred. So I just would like to thank him for that.
good, thank you.
I was curious about that, and whether, evidently, at the meeting today, I did ask if it had been coated with any anti-graffiti covering, which we do with some things, but I don't think that was the case. And I wondered how he does that.
I don't know.
Okay,
I haven't
yeah.
asked. It was just, he volunteered and we thanked him, and I said I would mention him at the meeting, so.
Great. Well,
But I'm
yeah,
not sure
that's
what
great.
magical things he does
Yeah.
to clean it up, so.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you again for following up on that too. Appreciate it.
Mm.
All right, so we have a action, I guess, to get some paperwork and documentation to you to
Great.
start this.
Yeah,
and-
we'll get the
and
thing rolling, and
Certainly with maps and,
How do you want them? Do you want them just on a? Do you want them electronically?
if you can get them electronically, that's probably the best. And then if you can somehow highlight the areas exactly where the vandalism's taken place, that way the patrols know exactly where to go and kind of look out for it. And again, it's going to be bicycles plus ATVs that we'll have out in that area, so.
Okay.
Everything. But is there anything else I can do for you guys? I mean, I think it's a good plan. I think
That's
if we could show heavy presence,
that's a great step
I
forward.
think that's a good step.
We might want to tie this into the new property, too. That's good.
We're, yeah, yes, that's we're going to discuss, we have a public hearing tonight to discuss the new parcel that we're purchasing, and it's off of Karen Ave.
Right.
The waterfront parcel, it adjoins the current,
No, it's public.
yeah, it's public. It's public tonight.
Yeah, it's probably just south of the boat ramp you're talking about? Yeah,
Yes,
from the-
exactly. So that's a parcel that we're, you know, within the next couple of weeks here, we're gonna assume ownership of.
Yeah, and feel free to put that, put a
Right.
map with that, shows it everything.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that area because I run my dogs through that area, and there is quite a bit of
You
activity down there.
you won't really have good maps of that area yet, so, well, it's relatively, to us, it's a relatively small parcel, it's only 30 acres, so
We can give you the tax map.
we can, yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we have a tax map, and we have a single walking track that we did that one time. It just, shows the trail we walked on, but there's really, pretty much anywhere you are in that parcel, you can see a good chunk of the rest of it, so
Yeah.
be tough to evade if you're down there, so. All right, well, great, we'll get that together and get it to you directly.
Okay.
And then we can go from there.
Okay, great. Thanks,
Thank you very
Gage.
much for coming
Yeah,
in.
thank you. Nice meeting you. Thanks for your
Thank you so much for coming.
I sent you that report?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet, but thank you.
Okay, well.
Thanks, Chief. All right, a little impromptu meeting. Welcome. All right, so we're going to go to our new second item here, our third item here is public comment. I know you get gentlemen out here for that, so seeing no members of the public, I think we can move right on to a public hearing. Now, do we need to read this verbatim? Is that the...
Yeah, you need to open the public hearing as well.
We need a motion and all that stuff?
No, you as the chair need
Okay,
to
so we
open the
can-
public hearing at such and such a time.
All right, so at 6:41, I'm going to open the public hearing in regards to the acquisition of real property for conservation purposes pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 36-A. We're talking about the parcel located at the, it's an unnumbered parcel at the end of Karen Street. It's tax map 3D-1, lot 3. So, I don't know, Mike, do you want to speak to it a little bit? You've done most of the work, but
I can,
if you want to just describe it, or
so this parcel is 31 acres along the Merrimack River, off of Greeley Street. I don't know if that, does that street have a name that, where they fly the airplanes? Dirt road?
No, I think the tax map says it's Karen.
Karen Drive.
Karen?
Yeah.
All right, so Karen Drive. It's, we've been trying to get this property for a little over a year now, and it's valuable in many ways, probably to the town. In the future, it could be a potential park. It's a buffer zone for the river to help protect that as a water resource, and hopefully someday, you know, we'll get the protections enforced that we need there, and that'll turn into a nice riparian zone on the river to help, you know, protect that water supply and the natural features that it has. And it also has potential historical significance.
Yep.
Right, Thornton's very possibly.
Yeah, we do believe that may be the
located
Thornton's
there.
Ferry Landing.
Yeah.
On that parcel.
So that's going to, hopefully we're going to be voting on that and purchasing that property.
Yes. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, so for the record, what sort of restrictions, if any, are going to be imposed on the property in the process of deeding it to the town?
Yes, there's quite a few conservation restrictions.
So the conservation restrictions are standard. We have a standard set of conservation commissions that we apply to almost all of our properties, and they extend out through in perpetuity. So we're not going to allow there's no commercial venture down there, there's no building, no construction other than trails and recreational, passive recreational activities.
And no motorized
No
vehicle?
motorized vehicles.
Motorized.
And as Mike said, that's going to be a bit of a change for that parcel right now. It's pretty heavily used by unregulated activities.
It was also the desire of the seller to
Yeah.
have that property protected and conservation protections on that property.
And we've agreed to name it after the Scolars, this Sklar Waterfront Park or something along those lines, I think was the,
Yeah.
I have to go back and look at what we wrote into the deed, but.
What's the asking price? Or settled price, I should say?
$154,000, 31 acres.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, we
Yeah,
keep going.
that's good,
This
that's good.
is,
I usually have a presentation I follow, and I'm trying to recall all the pieces that are in it, so.
I started putting it together and.
I can't recall the assessment on that property.
So the assessment was $154,000.
Is what?
$154,000.
And how much are we paying?
$154,000.
For, yeah, because that struck me as reasonable, as I recall.
Yeah, it did. Me too. I know. Yeah.
The property's bound by the railroad track, and there's no permanent crossing over the tracks. There's a small bridge underneath it that you can't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
know
and you
that.
can't. There's
Yeah.
just not enough. There's no way to get construction vehicles out into that area, and it's dramatically affected the price the value of that property.
And that's why the boat ramp, if it's built, will be built somewhere else too.
Right, because it's very difficult to get a
For a
truck and trailer
boat,
through the area.
yeah.
So it's a very nice parcel. It's a beautiful area, but it's just not, because of the railroad track and the inability to get across the tracks on a as needed basis. It's because the end of Star Drive there is a crossing, but it's privately owned, and even then the owner is not allowed to just use it at will. He's got to contact Pan Am and he's the only one that has the key. He has to be the one going across it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a difficult passage.
Yes.
So
Well, it's very beautiful down in that area. I don't know whether I've been on the Sklar one, but I've been on the one where the boat ramp is.
So
Beautiful.
it starts at where the where the primitive boat ramp is,
Mhm.
and then it goes south. I mean, that's town property where the boat ramp is, but just south of that is where the Scalar property is. And so it's just the northern half is like floodplain, and then the southern half is like a high, more like a bluff that overlooks the ocean.
The river?
I say ocean, yeah. The river.
We knew what you meant.
We knew,
The
Large-
river.
large
Yeah,
body
the
of water.
Merrimack River.
yes.
Yeah.
Which eventually gets to the ocean.
Yeah, right,
Pretty
right.
high if you can see that.
Yeah, if you could see the ocean, it would be pretty good.
So what are our plans with the property?
So, we've discussed that somewhat, and as we said, it's a relatively small parcel as far as we're concerned. It's 30 acres. It's something that you could walk, and the entirety of it. There's really, it's 30 acres, but it's a long, skinny piece, so you can walk the entirety of it in a relatively short period of time. So, short of us trying to duplicate Parks and Rec's effort of having picnic tables and such, I don't really see that there's a lot of conservation trail work or anything out there for us. I think this is going to be something more that the town can use as a Parks and Rec property. So we're going to have to discuss that amongst ourselves, but also with Parks and Rec to see how they want to handle taking over managing that parcel.
Yeah, and ideally, the town would manage both parcels together with common restrictions and privileges and all that.
There was some conversation about cleaning it up, and I'm not sure that that's gone forward at all. Not so much the Sklar property, which might have the same problem, but the town-owned property. The last time I saw it, it had an awful lot of trash and tires, just loads of tires.
Yeah, there's a lot
There's
of
a couch
junk
back there, too. I think there's a couch back there,
on the
too.
Scalar,
I'll
yeah.
bet so. I bet there's a kitchen sink.
It could definitely is a project to clean that up.
Yeah, I think that might actually be something that's met with some good volunteerism within the town, because it's an interesting parcel, and people
Beautiful.
it's a beautiful parcel, so we might actually get a lot of people that want to go down there and just would be helped to clean up for a day or two and remove a lot of stuff. We'll have to contact the town again to see if we can borrow a truck. They've been helpful in the past. DPW with whatever we can pick up as far as trash, they take to the dump for us. So it's been helpful in the past, and something like that maybe we can do again.
Yeah, that would be terrific.
So now you'd invite the public to speak or comment?
You guys want something to say? No? Hold on just a second. Just yet. No, I meant on the parcel. If you guys have any comments about the parcel, you're here. You can certainly.
It's a nice piece of property.
Yeah, if you're familiar with it. Okay.
I see an Eagle project in the future.
This project in the future. Yeah. Matt, you had a comment or question before?
No, I really just wanted to, say that we owe a thanks to the Scalar family and to Mike for working with them on making this possible.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the commission tried a number of years ago and wasn't able to come to an agreement with the family. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see it come together now.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right, so
So you
No
would
more.
close the public hearing
seeing no more comments or questions,
at a time?
I can close the public hearing at 6:50.
One quick question before you close.
Before I close the meeting at 6:50.
All of the non-public minutes now, how do I've turned most of them in except for the last one, but we have a few that we haven't, they're still in draft form.
Yeah, so I think we need to go into non-public to review them and then decide to,
So we'll do that at the next meeting?
Or when the agendas?
we agenda it, yeah.
Okay.
So it's those most, we'd have to just have to look at it and make sure that we're only releasing what we want to, so.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, is that it? Are we good? So it's 6:51, we're gonna close the public meeting. And that's that. So now we have
Vote?
town council.
You need to
Yeah,
vote?
Oh, you vote on that? We didn't vote to open it up.
No, you don't have to vote to open or close the public
Purchase,
hearing,
right.
but you have to vote for the purchase,
All right,
or else you got nothing to bring to the town council.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second the motion.
There
To
was no,
purchase.
We
No,
gotta
I'll make a
We gotta
motion.
make the motion, Mike.
To, I'll get the lot number here. To purchase lot 3D-1 on 30.9 acres on the Merrimack River for $154,000 through Fund
53
53.
plus.
Oh,
So
plus
those-
any lawyer, legal fees, and any fees associated with purchasing that property.
Do you need to say it's 3D-1, Lot 3?
3D-1, 3D1-3. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, in accordance with RSA 36-A.
In accordance with RSA 36-A?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a script next time, 'cause we do this too often.
Yeah.
We actually have, recently.
Are there any other caveats that we want to make? Listing the full conservation easements?
Yeah, in accordance with our purchase and sales agreement.
Yeah, in accordance, there's,
In
Or will it be
accordance,
right in the deed?
right.
okay, in accordance with our purchase and sales and deed restrictions and agreements.
I'll second it.
All right. Any other comments and questions? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
All right, passes 6-0-0. Outstanding. Newport Waterfront.
So when do you expect to go to the town council with this?
Is the next meeting, which is Thursday night? Thursday night?
This
Yeah.
Thursday?
This
Yeah.
Thursday?
Yes.
We're going to be presenting to town council, and on the 28th is the closing.
Do you want the full Conservation Commission or as many of us as can be there?
You're certainly welcome to attend.
I think it always looks good for
Yeah.
a committee to be
It's-
supportive.
It's Thursday night, but it's
Okay.
going to be a brief presentation. There is also, I believe, they're going to be talking about the Old Kings Highway.
You know, I haven't even looked at the agenda yet, I'm sorry.
Okay. There's, on a separate note, we can talk about it later on in the meeting here. Yeah, but that's Thursday night. We'll be making a presentation to town council for their approval or acceptance, I guess is what is more likely the right term. And we'll be signing the paperwork on the 28th, so.
Thank you for everybody who worked on that.
Welcome. That's gonna be a nice piece of property. It's gonna be fun. All right. No other comments or questions. We don't have any appointments. Moving on to statutory advisory business. Mason, would you like to come up, introduce yourself, make sure that light's on, and if you could sign in, please too, so we make sure we get your name and. Is this running? Can I hear this, or is that something else that's?
I don't think it's running.
Did you use the projector for this?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I might not need it.
Okay. I don't know if we have the adapters
Yeah,
for that down here anyway. We go upstairs and they might be using them for the school board.
HDMI. Yeah.
And we don't have an HDMI plug
Oh.
on that though.
Oh.
That's the problem.
I might not need it.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
If
passing
you
around.
do, just let me know and I'll.
Do you have stuff you can pass out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do, so. Thank you.
All right.
Kill it? Or?
Kill it, please. Less noise in the other better. It's bad enough we got all the lights. One more time. All right, so we did speak briefly about this at the last meeting. This is, we discussed about the, Mason has come before the Greater Woods Subcommittee and presented this project. And at the subcommittee, it was met with I would say, good review. I would think was, people were pretty happy about the project, so. If you'd like to go in and explain this a little bit in more depth, that would be great.
Okay. Hello, I'm Mason Landry. I'm a Life Scout from Troop 401, and I plan on doing my Eagle project in the next few months. So I have a packet if you want to take one and pass it around. What I plan on doing is renovating the outdoor classroom at the Merrimack Middle School. The classroom's directly behind the middle school, and it's a pretty wide trail, so we'd be able to get large vehicles or large materials through. So part of the project, other than the benches, will be cutting down some trees. If you can see in the packet, there's a picture of the meadow that's kind of closed off by trees right in front of the classroom. So I kind of don't see the purpose of why they're there. So I plan on clearing out some of the undergrowth and shrubs so that it creates like a clear view of the meadow. And so what I plan on doing for the benches, I'm going to have concrete posts, and they're going to be dug at an adequate depth into the ground, and I'm going to then bolt braces onto the concrete, and from the braces I'm going to bolt the benches on. So it's going to be a 2x12 bench, so it's going to be a pretty good size for a bench. And yeah, so they'll be cut into sizes that'll fit like an amphitheater style for the classroom. So my plan with putting the braces on is that we could consistently replace the benches so that we don't have to have the same benches there for 11 years for what it was currently, if you look at the front page. So it obviously needs a lot of work. So what I plan on doing is I'm having descending lengths of benches going down into the front where the teacher's bench will be, and then I'm gonna clear the trees behind the teacher's bench so that it'll open up the whole area, make it that much more beautiful. So now for the financial part of it. It's gonna cost roughly $1,200 to buy all the materials. An excavator is going to be required for this because it's New Hampshire and there's going to be a lot of rocks in the ground, and it's not going to be an easy task digging 3.5 feet into the ground to get concrete in there. So we are definitely going to need an excavator. If anyone would like to step up or contact me, that'd be very helpful. So the $1,200 is not including the cost for the excavator because it varies depending on what it is. Now, to get this money, I will be leading a pancake breakfast. Our troop is very well known throughout Merrimack for doing pancake breakfasts, and they raise a pretty good amount of money. And so I'm going to be also advertising my Eagle Project to different businesses around Merrimack, and just looking for donations. I'm also going to be asking like hardware stores like Reed's Ferry Lumber or Lowe's for materials for the build, because I feel it would just be easier to do it that way. I also heard that Reed's Ferry gives discounts for Eagle projects, so we will definitely be talking to them.
It'd be a very good place to start.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, the next Eagle board meeting is in August, and they have the power to either approve or veto the project. So I can't do any fundraising or building before I get it approved. So if I do get it approved in August, I plan on getting the fundraiser on September 16th. So it gives me some time to get all the logistics down, let people know what's going to be going on, get some donations. And then on October 7th, I plan on doing the initial build. Because I'm using concrete, I'll have to wait a week for the concrete to cure. So I'm going to have 2 build dates. The first one's going to be mostly doing the concrete, clearing out a couple trees. I won't really need to do a whole lot. Well, I think the first date is actually going to need more work than the second because of the digging and the pouring of the concrete. On the second date, we will be fastening the brackets and the benches, and yeah, that's basically all that's going to be happening. So, are there any questions?
So tree work, who's actually gonna determine which trees?
I had a picture of what I wanted to clear out. It's mostly trees about like that big around in the back. So
Talking 3 inches in diameter?
yeah, just about. There's a couple really big pines, well, pines and oaks in the back, which I'm not going to be touching because those are meant to be there, and they've been there for a while, so I'm not going to touch those. But there's a lot of small pine trees that are kind of just taking up space, and there's like a big knot of them in the front, so I just want to clear that out a little bit. And
Well, they get water and sun, and that's what they need to grow, so.
yeah.
How do you plan on taking these trees out? What kind of tools or equipment are you going to use?
I did not figure that out yet. Probably saws and
Hand tools or gas-powered tools?
probably gas powered.
Because you're going to be near a wetland. And you're going to have
Yes.
to be really careful as to how you handle your fuel, your oil, and all those sorts of things.
Hmm.
So you need to have experienced people handling those tools,
Yes.
as well as check for leaks before you bring them in, and all that. So.
Yep.
So, and then any debris that you take out, you want to pull out of the wetland as opposed to letting it fall in the wetland because it could be contaminated on the ends with chain oil, bar chain oil, and things like that.
Oh yes.
So.
Um,
The other concern that might happen is you'll be doing this on town property, so I'm sure the town council will want to make sure that you have experienced, trained people using that equipment, so,
mhm.
because of the liability that's involved if someone gets hurt.
Yes. The former scoutmaster, actually, of the troop, he works for Tops, the landscaping. So there's a couple people in the troop that actually work there, and they're trained in
Yeah.
power tools. And
Just be prepared for that, that's all.
yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
And just a comment, I'm sure you're doing this, but smooth or route all the edges and corners of the benches. I'm sure you're going to be doing that anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So how are we dealing with the current situation? Are you going to clear out the current benches before you start work as part of your project?
Yes.
That was my question, is like, what do we, the boards, the seats themselves have some nails in them. And I'm sure by now we can probably get them out fairly easily. But all that is untreated log lumber. that's already in various states of decay. Do we leave it on site? Do we want to move it off site? Do we want to, what are we going to do with it?
You said you were going to remove it?
Yes.
But Al,
It-
which is fine, if you want to do that, it's
Yeah.
fine, but I'm saying, is that something we need to remove? I mean, do we?
Only concern I would have is that someone would use it for other purposes that we might not intend.
Oh,
You know, like forest fires and campfires or whatever
but
else.
that's the thing, but there's.
That's not going to burn. It's like,
And if they're gonna go after that for fuel, there's plenty of other
Yeah.
up there, so I mean,
that
we've
stuff
got,
wouldn't burn.
there's a large slope on the backside that, it's the same wood that came out of that whole area.
Mhm.
So, we could remove the metal, the nails, and leave it in the back. And it's gonna continue to rot just like it's doing now. Or do we remove it from the site altogether? Why don't you come on up?
Well, I
Please.
think Mason's intent initially was actually to beautify that spot.
Yep.
Because it's gonna take advantage of the beaver meadow, right, Mason?
Mhm.
And his intent was actually to clear all that stuff out of there, wasn't to dump any of it there.
Well,
And the nice thing is, like you mentioned, it doesn't have any pre-treated wood or anything like
Right.
that, so that can all go into the not the landfill, but
the
Yeah,
dump, the
the brush.
construction debris.
Exactly.
Air construction.
If you want to remove it, that's fine, I'm just,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what Mason's intent was initially.
Right.
Where does the conservation land cut in? I'm surprised that this isn't school land.
it's town property.
Yeah.
That's town property. So if you look at the school, have you been around the middle school? When you drive around the backside, there's that stone wall. That's the
I don't know
stone.
about the stone
Well,
wall.
when
Okay,
you
That's
drive around
where
the
it-
backside of the school,
okay,
there's a stone wall that runs along the whole backside of it over by the generators.
okay.
Obviously up into that stone wall is school property. On the other side of that property is town property.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
And
it was
so
so
that-
close to the school.
Yeah, that
It-
path,
in
that leads out the back of from the back of the driveway walks right out to this. right
Yeah,
out to this
I've been there
classroom.
a couple times, yes, and I'm looking forward to your project. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So it is a mess, and I guess my question is, you said it's untreated wood.
Mhm.
So if it's untreated wood, is there something that we or future Eagle Scouts or someone could do to not treat the wood, because obviously we don't want, toxins on it, but is there something that you can do to seal the wood or something periodically?
The existing benches or the
No,
new
the new
ones that are
ones.
going?
The new ones
The
are
new-
pressure.
Are they gonna be pressure treated?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So is pressure treated okay, because it's full of chemicals? That's okay? Because even pressure treated wood needs to be sealed periodically.
It's not going to be ground contact. It's going to be,
Okay.
it's going to be physically raised off the ground, so. Yeah, I mean, it's the chemicals they use now are not anywhere near as bad as what they used to be.
Okay, but that still needs to be sealed periodically, so.
Yes, there will be
Okay.
maintenance associated with this.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, what we used before was just spruce lumber, which was, it's full of pitch and it just rots slowly.
So we never treated it?
No.
We never sealed it periodically?
No,
or-
it was all rough cut lumber.
Okay.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And currently now what we do, the wood structures that we put out in the woods now are all pressure treated lumber. It's a grade 1, was it 1A ground contact, is that what it's called? I think 1A ground contact. So this is right in line with the structures that we're putting out there now, bridges and overlooks and such.
Oh, okay.
The 11-foot, so the farthest away from where the teacher would be,
Mhm.
will that be 3 posts to support the 11?
Yeah. I plan on doing 3 posts for up to the 8 feet.
Oh, okay.
So the 11, 10, and 9 will be 3 posts.
Do you already have a detail of how you're planning to hold those brackets in place?
Yes. Yeah. So I have, I already found carriage bolts.
Well, you
So-
make a comment here about drilling into the top of the stands to bolt them down. And there is a lot of bracketry out now that you place in your sonotube and pour in place. And it now is, no more drilling, and I mean, the bracket will be affixed permanently to the top of the concrete.
Oh.
So just might want to look into saving yourself a couple steps there.
Yeah.
It might require lining up a piece or something on there when you pour it, so you make sure they're all in a line how you want them. So when the bench is ready to go on, it's going to fit. But you may want to see if we can find some different bracketry that allows you to pour it in place.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how well it works. But he's right, though. You have to have a test board or one that you can lay in so your brackets don't twist or turn on you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some others you can sink that just raise a bolt, and then the next piece you put on, you can adjust and twist where you want it as well. So that they do make a couple of different variants. But yes, you shouldn't have to drill into the hard concrete. There are other ways to do it very effectively.
I mean, depending on the bracket type, they make a product that's called a J-bolt, and it's literally just that. And you put it on the concrete, you set it tight, and you pour around it. So once the concrete cures around it, it's part of the concrete structure.
Yeah. And because of its tail, it won't spin and turn if you try to crank a nut on top of it or something like that.
So there's a couple different methods. So as it gets closer, we can certainly experiment and go look for that stuff.
If you're looking for an example of it, a scout last year put a observation deck similar to the observation deck that's near the outdoor classroom area on the other side off of BB Lane, and he used that very same type of cleat that it goes into the cement, and it's a pretty good example of it if you want to see that.
Yeah.
Short drive.
I think I actually worked on that one with him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, might want to compare notes with him what
Yeah.
he used.
Thank you.
Benjamin.
So are you going in front of town council on
Yep.
Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's a very exciting project. It's nice to see it get revamped and things like that. So.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been down there in the last week, the bridge coming in from the other side now is there. So there's going to be a lot easier access in and out of that spot.
Yeah.
Coming from the end of Bambi Lane, coming across the brook.
Oh wow.
So
Cool.
Thanks to hard work.
and poison ivy.
Unfortunately.
Poison ivy, yeah.
Anybody want to hug Matt? Well, do anyone have any questions, comments? No?
I think these Eagle
Yep.
projects are great.
Yeah, I'm, as you know, I sent you or Nat sent you the pictures, I think, the original. So this has been a project that's it's been a long time coming, and so I'm very appreciative that you're taking this on. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, do we need to make a recommendation to the council or anything?
I would assume that we're going to. Yeah. So I would think I'm assuming that everyone's in the affirmative that this is something that we want to see go forward. Okay. I can get a letter off to them for meeting on Thursday then to support this. So
Thank you.
again, thank you very much for taking this on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need these back? I keep these.
You can keep them.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Need an extra one for Daniel?
Yeah, I'll be getting still another one, so
Oh.
just in case. Start for you.
All right. So moving on. Item B, which is William Ostoka, the review of the recommendation of the planning board for subdivision. Seeing that they're not here.
Chris was outside.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he was waiting on someone, but I
No,
saw the
you want-
engineer outside.
Oh.
Let me go.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I was out there sleeping.
On that hard bench.
No, good timing, because you're up.
All right, perfect. My name is Chris Gaida. I'm a certified wetland scientist and soil scientist with Fieldstone Land Consultants and representing Bill
Don.
Stalkus Project.
Can you sign in on the
Yeah, just make sure you sign in. When are you presenting in front of the planning board?
I believe the 27th, I think we're on the agenda. I apologize, I didn't get a chance to color anything up tonight. We can go over it.
Land of Goshen.
What?
My brother was in a town called Goshen.
Oh.
So, we were able to secure a variance to allow for a cluster subdivision, open space. This allows us to basically not impact any additional wetlands. There's a fair amount of wetlands across the whole property on this side here, and a few runoffs that come down here. This configuration allows us to basically stay on this side of that wetlands. The only impacts we're looking at are basically the edge of this man-made pond here. There's an existing driveway. This doesn't show it. It's a little bit busy. It does show it. You just can't see it. But it's actually off the property line a little bit here, back when that driveway was constructed. So it kind of forces the access over here on Watkins Road, which does impact about 1,100 square feet of wetland on that corner of that man-made pond. The only other modifications we're proposing are basically to replace the outlet structure here on this pond. There's a concrete structure which looks like it used to have a screen. It's in somewhat disrepair. It's still functional, but the plan is to basically increase this berm a little bit and replace that structure, and that will allow us to utilize this pond as detention and to control, any additional stormwater coming off of here. The soils out here were, I don't know if any of you folks had a chance to walk the property at all. At first glance, there's a lot of ups and downs, obviously. There's some topography there, and there's a few boulders around. It looks like it's going to be ledge. I thought it was going to be ledge. When we started digging, it wasn't. It was actually, a very well-drained till to almost excessively drained sand and gravel, kind of through this area here. It's kind of why the road is following this ridge line. A lot of this ridge will get leveled down and allow for basically all the lots to access off of the roadway without having to go. The roadway will basically stay higher, so you're not going to have runoff coming into the roadway. Like I said, all the test bits here were very good. There's an old, there's an existing house here, right in here, existing house and barn. There's a few old chicken coops and such out there, kind of long since fallen down. There's an old couple of trails in through here. Other than that, there's really no other significant features. There's no foundation holes, things like that. Anything that would be archaeologically significant. That's pretty much it. Allowing gaining that variance actually does allow for a much better development of the site, I think, and it prevents having to cross these wetlands with driveways to access other areas out and back.
So there's that road is going to be a pretty steep incline up to the cul-de-sac now.
Up through here?
Right.
Yeah.
Is that all going to drain down towards this pond now?
Right. The intent is to basically have this pond capture some of this side basically goes to this side, which eventually goes into the pond. The flow is this way. And then this side basically drains down and also gets captured by the pond. There's a stormwater report for drainage counts. For a little late night reading.
Did you already cover where the septic system is going to be? Is it a shared one, or does each
No,
one?
there's going to be
Individual
ones on the
Oh.
lots here. I apologize, I didn't highlight these up here, but so here's the test pit locations that we did.
Oh, okay.
So they're each going to have their own septic. Like I said, the soils out there are very good, well-drained soils. There are wetlands, through here, but basically there's enough setback and everything to accommodate the septic systems on each of the homes.
How many square feet have you allocated for septic?
There's 4,000 on the original. Let me see here. One of these sheets has the 4K boxes on here. One of them, the last one I get to. Okay, so here's the 4K boxes.
What sheet is that?
That's
That's the beginning sheets that have the individual plans.
page 5.
Got the two sets of plans for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
4 and 5, I'm sorry.
It seems like the proposed, or should I say just for description, house locations overlap the,
There is some of that. There is going to probably be some more test pits done out there, depending on the type of house that gets chosen for there. Each lot's going to kind of be, driven specifically on what type of home gets on there. So as far as a lot of times with the cluster type of subdivisions, the site loading is calculated on the overall lot as well. So you basically get a reduced, that's why you can have smaller areas and you have the increased loading with the open space. But these will all meet, these 4,000 areas of septic systems are a lot smaller than the 4,000 square feet.
right, usually you leave a little bit of space in case for some reason down the road someone's got to re-wicker it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the times there is some provisions for reserve areas. in my experience, I've yet to see, well, once in Massachusetts, but that doesn't really count here, a reserve area actually be used. 99.9% of the time, they get replaced in the same location that they were originally designed in. It just seems to you, once the house is built, it's usually, you know, everybody puts their pool in and the well in, and then, you know, it does kind of limit the space for it. So on larger lots, right, you may have more opportunity to locate things in different areas, but like I said, 99% of the time they're going to go back in the same location.
Aren't these town water?
Yes, I believe so.
I was gonna say, it looks like town water, but
Right. There's a
Septic.
water line, I guess it comes down from the hill here.
There's the big tank right near it.
Yeah, there's a tank up on top of the hill there. And the water line right now kind of runs right down this Woods Road and down Watkins Road.
Well, I bring up the septic because, while it's not recent history, but back in the 70s, we had a whole bunch of septic failures
Yeah.
and poorly installed and not much room for it, which forced the town to sewer in a lot of places. And that was quite a mess, which is what contributed to the R1 district that we have now and other things like that, so.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. I probably started designing septic systems not in the 70s, but about when all those 70s started failing.
Yeah.
So they do fail. I mean, it's the average life expectancy is about 15 years according to the state. Depending on the type of systems that we would design, I tend to lean more towards a stone and pipe system. They are a little bit bigger, but in these types of soils where you don't have to have a raised system up, they seem to last forever. Almost never do I do an inspection and have a failed stone and pipe system. 50 years is common for those. So I assume I'll get the opportunity to design these, and if I do, I'll be doing the stone and pipes where they fit here. Again, they are a little bit larger, so sometimes on the smaller lots there are some more constraints that may not allow it, but it's kind of my go-to system. And like I said, the soils here are great, so that helps a lot on the failure end of things.
You make a comment later in the documentation here about blasting. Do you feel that that's probably not gonna happen?
I would be very surprised if there were any blasting necessary based on the test pits that we did, and a lot of them were down the middle of the roadway. There are some larger boulders out through there that, like I said, when I first went out there, I thought it was gonna be ledge outcrops, and I was surprised that they weren't. I did a number of pits through the roadway and right up against a lot of those rocks. There are areas out there where we're not proposing development farther up and back that, again, you know, we didn't explore everywhere,
Right.
so I can't say, but
Well, if you're not doing development, there's no use to blast out there, so.
right, right. So I would be very surprised if we had to blast in here. There might be a couple of large boulders that they might have to hammer or something in order to move them, but based on what we've seen through the test pits, I didn't see any evidence of ledge.
So how do you propose to decommission the well that's in the end of the cul-de-sac?
This is like an old, you know, it's just an old field stone well.
Is it a dug well?
Yeah,
It's not artesian?
no. So, I mean, that would basically be just backfilled in with native material. This is there's a low spot right through here, that comes down. I think it used to feed the old farmhouse.
Yeah, because DES now has BMPs for well closures.
Yeah, I'll definitely follow up on that as far as the dug wells and goes. I know typically they just get backfilled with native material, but we'll definitely follow up on that. I know drilled wells certainly have to be grouted and things like that. So it's really just an old farm well.
Are you expecting any drainage structures near that well to be installed in the road?
No. No, there's no closed drainage basically through this roadway. Everything basically sheds off. From here, so everything kind of just sheds off the sides and then eventually, and then gets captured in the pond.
Right, so it sheds into the people's property, so they need to be aware they're gonna get sheeted water in a rainstorm?
There may be some, like, like anywhere, like we're probably getting now, but, you know, I'm not the engineer, but the engineers have designed this and assure me that, this is to the standards and it's gonna meet all the codes and regulations.
So you said there's going to be conservation land. Is that going to be common land for the homeowners?
This area here, actually, I am not 100% certain. I may have misspoke. I did do all the test bits in the wetlands out here, but I was just notified today by Chad that you folks were meeting here. So I haven't talked to anybody about any type of common land covenants or anything like that. But I can certainly find out. I don't know if it's in any of the notes here or not.
No, all I saw was a reference to conservation land, in which kind of said, okay, is there any more detail to that?
Yeah, I apologize. I cannot provide any at the moment, but I will certainly follow up on that, and we can send you emails.
Yeah, can you let
Yep.
Gage know what the intent is for
Sure.
that?
Yep.
Since your planning board meeting isn't for another week.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Because I think our preference would be that the edge of properties be noted and that people be aware that they are wetlands.
Sure.
And that there's particular rules and stipulations that they can and can't do in a wetland
Right.
area.
I think that's always a good idea because most people don't.
Right, and have it noted in their deed. Now, I know not everyone reads their deed.
Yeah.
Covenants, but it should be noted.
Okay.
So, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Or else they're gonna be dumping oil in the backyard and whatever else. I'll stop you do it.
I hope not.
In particular, there's a note about the drain going under the road.
Okay.
It's calling out for HDP pipe. Is that really just gonna be a plastic pipe under there, or is it gonna be a?
Right in here.
Yeah.
I think. Well, excuse me. This is a little bit of an interesting situation because the culvert starts off of the property, and then basically continues onto the partial property. And the plan is to have a structure here, which basically at the juncture of this pipe and pick up this pipe to the new pipe here. And I'm not sure if, which page was that, or the note on that?
Page 8.
The big detail at the top.
Right at the top.
Okay.
I'll do kind of, I just track through the middle of it. 12 inch.
This here?
Mm-hmm.
No, above.
Inside the pipe.
The pipe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I will double check on that. that says 12-inch here. Let me see what it says in the plan.
And I know that's just for runoff, it's not really connecting to water bodies, but
Right, yeah, that's,
it seems like kind of a small pipe for one, and then to have it be under a roadways,
right.
ACPs.
That one is not under the roadway, I don't think. I think it picks up here. It allows for this driveway to this existing house to continue, so that's basically a driveway culvert,
Okay.
right here. I think this one's going,
Because it's saying
this
that
is a 24 going under the roadway, so basically traveling this way is a 24. But yeah, I see what you're saying is that, so that's basically a 12-inch driveway culvert, but I'll check on that, whether that's going to be
it
accurate.
makes it look like it's the road, because it's saying there's a guardrail on the side and everything, so
Yeah.
it seems like a,
It's a confusing detail is what you're saying.
yeah.
It's a good comment.
I got just a couple things in particular on the last page, on the print that you can't read very well.
This one?
Yeah. So, particularly for because of where this is, and it's in the wellhead, it's in the aquifer. On note 12, it makes a comment to having low phosphate, and that's definitely something in this area I'd rather see a no phosphate
Okay.
fertilizer. And if that's going to be the general note that applies to all the fertilizer they use on site, that would be, I guess, the appropriate place to specify as no phosphate.
Okay.
Under the erosion control notes, item 3, make a reference to hay. Nope, bottom of the page, on the item, no, other side, on the left. Bottom note. No, up a little bit more. There you go, right there.
Okay.
Item 3, yeah, I can't, it's tough to see. Number 3, but there's a reference to hay.
It should be
That's-
straw.
Yes, second or third line, there should be straw. And then on the note 1, at the next column over, going back to my comment earlier about the blasting, if there's any blasting in that area, I'd like there to be some water testing first before any blasting goes on.
Right.
As opposed
Establish a
to, yeah,
baseline.
it says if more than, 5,000 cubic yards are gonna be blasted, before we blast anything near a wellhead or anything of that aquifer, I'd like to do some water testing prior.
That pretty much covers what I had. I think I think with house location and septic, it's gonna be tight on some of these lots, but I would assume if it meets subdivision regulations, then it meets subdivision regulations, and that's it, so.
Is there gonna be a minimum size septic? You know, you put in a two-bedroom house now, and, you know, someone adds on to it. And
Yeah, I mean, typically where the state subdivision requirements are 4 bedrooms, so 600 gallons per day. So that's what the sizing is for the subdivision. Now, whether they put in a 2-bedroom or someone decides to build a 2 or whatever, the subdivision is gonna be 4. So when you apply for the subdivision, all the different lots, it's gonna have 600 gallons per day per lot.
regardless of, and that's gonna be a minimum size.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's the state's requirement, so
Right.
when you apply, so
Well,
it doesn't mean that someone can't come in and build a 2-bedroom house.
Right, but that's the minimum size one that's gonna be installed here.
Well, I don't know.
Somebody said that.
Yeah.
That's not what he
So,
said.
so it's sized for 4,000, but it's not necessarily gonna be what's built.
That's correct. Right, we don't really,
Right.
some board could determine that there could be a minimum, size house, some type of covenants or whatever like that, but, so, everything is sized to accommodate at least a 4-bedroom. But when it comes, somebody buys a lot, and, for example, if it's just an elderly couple or whatever, and they don't want a bigger house, maybe they want just a smaller 2-bedroom. So,
So I'm kind of going through some of this now, and
Not that you're older.
no, but I am a grandfather. Um, Essentially, if you decide later that you want to turn a 2-bedroom into a 4-bedroom, you have to prove you have the septic system capacity to do it.
Do it.
Or you have to upgrade it, one or the other. It's part of the building process.
right.
So it's not, it would have to be in the illegal or non-permitted construction to do it any other way.
We've all seen it happen.
Yes.
But, yes. They're getting actually, DAS is getting pretty good lately. They've been doing a lot of enforcement and a lot of outreach and education, and people are getting the message. At least that's what I've seen. So. Any other questions, comments? Okay.
I don't have any. And you said you're going before, on the 27th, you're going before the planning board?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for your time. Thanks for your comments, and we'll incorporate them and make those changes.
Yeah, we need a follow-up on the well closure.
Right, the common, large.
Yeah, what's going to happen with the common property?
Can you wait on that before you make your comment?
Does the board have a preference on what happens with that, or as far as if it is conservation land, or is it controlled by the town or by a association with the homes, or?
So when it's given to an association, a lot of, over time, as the original owners move out and new owners move in, it usually gets lost and forgotten, and it becomes people's backyards, and they dump and do whatever they want in it.
Right, no man's land.
And
Right,
it
it
leaves
is.
us without any management abilities.
Yeah.
Especially with the wetland and all the lawn clippings with whatever
Oh, yeah,
they're putting in it.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, so if it's going to be an association, or even if there's no association required, it's just considered common land, they'll all be taxed on that parcel. But we would like something reflected in their deeds that there are restrictions of what can and can't be done, and the area should be marked,
okay.
whether it's stone or whatever, but somehow it needs to be marked.
Yep.
So people know when they're crossing into that conservation area.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Does the town have their own, like, any type of placards of conservation land or town of Merrimack conservation?
well, so that's the confusing part. Using the term conservation land, it means
Yeah.
that it somehow falls under our purview. And if we don't own it, then it's not our purview, so
Right.
it should be designated as open space for conservation purposes,
Yeah.
that kind of deal. But calling it conservation land, it just says, oh, well, you guys should be managing that.
Right,
And frankly, it's an island, We don't own any other property around it, so it's,
Right.
it's valuable wetlands, but it's very hard for us to, we would then require an easement for access, and whose lot are you gonna give us that easement on,
Right.
right? Because we're gonna be walking across someone's lot
Right.
if it was to turn over to us.
Yeah.
So I think in this case, since we don't have direct access and probably one landowner's not gonna be very willing to have us trumping across their property, then we should probably have it, marked appropriately and then noted in their deeds that this property is to remain unchanged and there's, it's not for dumping of waste clippings or parking of trailers and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay. Does everyone agree with my comments?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's like surrounded.
One issue I have actually seen is people who live around it try to landscape it.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. And then they dump their phosphorus fertilizers in it
Well,
and
that too.
contaminate a wetland.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have these little, why do I have a blue stain in my wetland behind my house? Well, that's something you probably don't want to be drinking or touching or getting involved with. Or let your dogs play in and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because then they come home and then they shake all over you and want you to pet them, and now you've got cyno, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
The back lot here is Watkins compound.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was just assuming it's Watkins Road, I'm assuming it's part of an old family that had the,
Okay, so this does not touch the Joe Moorville Memorial? It's close.
close, but no.
Right, it's close, but it's not.
It's surrounded by common land. Look at the locust on the front page.
Yeah. So some of the common land is owned by the people who are on Scott Drive, which abuts Gilmore Hills Memorial Forest,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So the common land for Scott Drive abuts that, plus MVD might even get close to this as well, depending on where the tower is. So,
I think MVD's.
yeah, you're right, MVD's not here.
MVD's, I think, over here.
Yeah,
Down here is kind of where that note
yeah.
referred to it as the Watkins Con, so
Yeah,
maybe
but
that's what
That's the common ground that's the common land for Scott Drive.
Scott Drive, maybe that's what they've called their common land?
Where it was right off of Watkins Road, I just assumed that there's, the family had their, it's their compound, whatever, they had all their families living in the area or something. Yeah, because it says Scott Drive on it, that note.
Please mention that, what to do with the open space.
Yep. All right, old business, map pricing and kiosk sizing. Gina did send out an email with all the sizing information.
I made copies for everyone too.
I failed in my attempt to get pricing, because this is right now, all the printers are madly printing graduation announcements. So they said they're gonna get back to me at the earliest, the end of this week.
This is for the maps?
Yes, yeah. So, we were asking for some unique, apparently relatively unique, so the couple printers I went to said, look, not right now. Next week, we'll get to you next week, but not right now. So, all right, fine. So unfortunately, I don't have any pricing.
All right, well, I did take the measurements of the one at Wildcat Falls, unless you already got that.
I didn't get Wildcat Falls, I got the other
So
5.
I can update everybody for that.
Yeah, well, do you have something you can pass out, Gina? We can just keep notes on that, 'cause I can.
Do you want the colored ones, since you're gonna be doing the,
That's all right, I want one that we can stick in the
well,
book, and then,
you can give the colored one, and then I just graced everyone else.
You get the colored one.
all right.
I'll keep it going while
That's
I'm
two
going.
there?
There are three.
Okay, so
You
one's
went
for
back?
Cindy. Yeah, I'll save it for Cindy if she wants it. Because who wouldn't want one of these?
And I noticed the one.
Is that a TV?
Where? Where?
Leaning up on the back of the post at the Horse Hill,
No,
Queensway entrance? Look at the second page.
those are granite blocks.
Oh, underneath
Oh,
it?
that, oh, now I see what you're saying.
That's diagram.
Looks
Yeah,
like a
I didn't
TV, right,
even
right there,
notice
second
that.
page, yeah, it looks
Maybe
like a
it is.
TV.
I didn't even notice
What?
that.
So someone left you a TV?
I should take it.
Yeah, they don't have to pay the $15 at the dump.
I'm just like,
Oh,
job, do it, get out of there, so.
Wow, that could be.
You're right.
Well, you
It's
guys are
amazing
very
what people
observant.
will do to avoid
Yeah.
$10 or $15 at the
Yeah.
transfer station.
Well, now it's the Watonics problem, because it's on Watonic property.
That would make a great target.
That was the buggiest of all of the places. There were black flies all over.
And then we
the
get
place.
rare earth metals going into the ground after they shoot it up, yeah.
Oh dear, what you guys have gone through.
So I noticed that the Amherst parking lot one, I mean, it's huge, but they'd have to move one of their information things to put another map. Have to get their cooperation.
Yeah, on Amherst Road, that's, when I pulled up, I was kind of confused, because I'm like, oh, look, there's something in the center, and the map's kind of over on the right,
Oh,
so.
This is Amherst, New Hampshire,
Oh, Amherst, New Hampshire, okay.
Oh, which,
in Greater Woods.
yes, okay.
Yeah, it's not. I took a look at it, and there's plenty of room, but they have a bunch of other information on it.
Right.
So they'd have to take something out for us to put a good sized map in, but they'd have to take something out of there.
Mm.
I'm sure you noticed that.
Twenty-six by 45.
I noticed all the maps were a little different size, so I'm not sure if they were trimmed to be put in there.
So the Wildcat Falls kiosk is more horizontal than it is vertical, so,
So it's gonna be the one that messes everything up, huh?
yep. But, I mean, the map, actually, when I look at what the existing maps look like, I don't think it messes anything up. Because the existing maps are only are much smaller, 22 by 18.
Yeah.
The one at Wildcat Falls is 24 by 18, so it's within 2 inches.
So what's the measurement of Wildcat Falls?
It's 24 wide by 18 high, that's the map itself. The overall kiosk is 47 wide by 36 high. So they only use about a third of the space for the map, and then other information is in there,
Okay.
all behind plexiglass, or maybe not plexiglass, but you know what I mean.
Lexan.
Yeah, Lexan.
Lexan,
Yeah.
Lexan, some clear
Yep.
plastic. All right, so I know Sarah spoke about she'd be willing to get us a couple larger prints, but I don't think that she intended to be supplying us prints for these. So these might be the middle school entrance one. I gotta do some work to that. It's a little beat up.
You know, a quick glance looks like 22 by 18 or something like that.
Yep.
It's pretty standard across the board.
Yep.
Or 24 by 18 or
And
whatever.
and it allows you to have other items still up on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get a new piece of plexiglass for the Queensway.
I was saying, I was looking at that, is that frosted?
I couldn't tell, you know what, it was so buggy there, that was the only one that was really full of horseflies, and
Yep.
poor Mike is probably sitting there going, oh, you smell like off, because I do, I've covered myself with off. But they still bit me. That one is, I don't think it was foggy, it was either scratched or it was just dirty, so. It wasn't like condensation.
Okay.
You think the plastic was actually discolored, like it needed to be
It
replaced?
looked like it was, yeah, it looked like it was discolored.
So we want maps to be, what'd you say, 22, 24 by 18-ish size? That seems to be a size that would fit everything and allow us to keep some other information up on the kiosk.
Would that fit on a BB? BB's pretty small. That probably would fit.
That would be tight for
Yeah,
BB,
that's a small one.
because those are small. Those are
Where?
much smaller than anything else.
What's the one at the end of conservation?
Same,
At the smallest?
yeah.
But that 22 by, that's gonna take up a good chunk of that, isn't
He's
it?
gonna take the majority of that, because those are, 3 by 4.
Well, that's,
That should be fine, then.
it should be fine. Yeah,
Really big?
yeah, because the Wildcat Falls is 3 by 4. And its map is bigger than 22 by 18, so, and there's plenty of space.
I think we have the Greater Woods plaque at the top,
Mm-hmm.
takes up a lot of it.
See, that's a 3 by 4, and look at that map, and that's, so you got plenty of room.
Now I'm thinking it's 2 by 3.
Yeah, 3 by 4, I don't know if it's 3 by 4.
It's pretty, it's
Yeah, it's 2 by 3 then.
20, yeah,
Right,
22
that
by
take up-
18 would
that
be
take
pretty
up
big.
2/3 of the space.
You better get a couple
We could,
smaller ones.
that's Bambi and conservation.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a bit
BB.
smaller.
So 2 by 3 is 6
BB,
square
sorry.
feet. 2 by 3 is 6 square feet, and 3 by 4 is 12. So, and we're talking about what, 3.5 square feet? So it would take up about 60% of the kiosk. If that's acceptable, then you have enough room to put other things around it.
So right now there's 3 pieces of paper like this,
Yeah.
and it's full.
It's pretty small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's,
okay.
there's the map in this orientation,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the other side of the map, and then the hunting, and it's full.
Yeah, so the map, for the most part, the map's gonna be the 2 pages on one, because you're not gonna have to flip the back side of it. You know
Is
what I
that
mean?
the truth?
Yeah, I mean, all the legends and everything are on the map side, they're not, you don't have to flip, the information, you know, some of the write-up and stuff, that's,
Right, the descriptions would be on the backside.
descriptions will be on the back side, but,
But if you actually gave away maps, they could pull one out of the kiosk and have the descriptions.
So it would just be the map in that thing
Just
now.
the map.
just
yeah.
the map.
I guess that would work then.
I meant to measure that one.
Yeah,
I took a look at it, but.
You mean the
I
one
didn't
right
have
around the
tape
corner
measure.
from your house?
I know, and I forgot to do it.
if it's just going to be the map, then we would have plenty of room.
Well, I mean, that was what I was assuming was gonna be just the map. I mean, is everyone okay with it? I mean, the trail descriptions and such would be on the back side. But I
And
was
we could
not,
do something else with, because, you know, at the BB Lane one, there's that, right up that Paul put,
Oh, we did, the what?
or the write-up that Paul put about the markers.
Yeah.
That he
Yeah, about the shooting
buffer,
distance.
right,
Yeah.
of the homes.
And then there's hunting season.
Then there's the hunting season sign, so there's a bit of additional information. We could relocate that, or,
is the kiosk BB, is it the same as the one at Conservation?
Yes.
It doesn't really lend itself to being modified to make it a little bigger, make it a little longer.
No, but we could put, if they're seasonal things, we could tack them to the side, right, on the posts?
Or put them underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you-
right,
Yeah.
put them underneath, right, yeah. Yeah,
You know, you could just go one size smaller, like 11
Yeah, well,
by
that's
14.
I mean, right, but I mean, the kiosk, you want to put information up also.
Yes, yeah,
And if we cover it with a map, then,
right, you don't want to
and
do
any
that.
information we put up is gonna cover the map, so,
Right, want to get appropriate size.
yeah, we'd like to be able to put some seasonal, hunting notices
Yeah.
and such, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I think having those two be a bit smaller on the
Yep.
map
Yeah.
size, so we could still put the useful information in there.
As I said, like, I'm supposed to be getting information later this week, so I'll relay that as soon as I have it.
Yeah.
I'll email you the measurements. of that.
How are we going to do the website? Are we gonna make some sort of press release, or?
yeah, because I've done nothing so far, waiting to see how we wanted to handle this, and frankly, I don't have any time right now, so.
I'm not really sure what you're talking about. That we're putting up new maps, are we gonna release that information?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we should tell people that we're doing it, and
Right.
Yeah, so right now, there's, on the front page, there's a comment that says new maps coming soon, or something very similar to that language.
Right.
So now we can say, hey, they're here.
Yeah.
Now go to your favorite property and print the new map,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how successful it was, but I mean, we have there's 75, 80 names on the Gmail that we have, that people that have said, yes, I wanna be informed, I wanna be kept in touch. So, I mean, we've got,
The Merrimack Outdoors Facebook page, I believe, I haven't been home literally all weekend with stuff going on, but I'm pretty sure Steve Larson did put something up on the page about the new maps.
Well,
but
yeah,
they aren't out yet.
Right.
Right, they're
So
not
if
out
you
yet.
put that,
Well, I know he has info on the interactive map that NRPC
That might be
has,
the one he's
Hmm.
talking about,
because I haven't put up the new maps, I just haven't had the time.
yeah.
well, we could make a standard little blurb with a couple links to it and say, put in the paper, it's a freebie, so they don't charge us when you post things for free. It could go in the Telegraph, it could go in the,
Do we want, do you want me to get in touch with someone from the Merrimack Journal and do like an article? Get
well, that's what I'm
some
saying,
splash?
when we don't, I shouldn't say, it used to be, when you were presenting stuff for free, they didn't charge you to put an article in.
Yeah,
So if we have, just a little blurb with the QR codes,
thinking an article,
and, well, we could do an
the
article.
cover,
Yeah, we could do an article and with,
with your picture on the front page.
no, that's okay.
Like Vanna White,
Yeah.
right?
the Chamber of Commerce magazine is
Yeah.
going to be coming out soon, and that's going to have the link to our website, and
Just the one that you're gonna be on the cover on?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be on the cover, but something about our trails is going to be on the cover.
Yeah.
So do you want me to get the website updated, is that what you're
I
telling me?
think, yeah. I think that would be super helpful. Because that article may or may not say that
Yeah.
new maps.
Yeah, so we can, do you wanna try to put together a little blurb
Well,
article?
do you want, I would not be writing the article because I'm not the journalist for Merrimack Journal, but I can
They're gonna
contact
They're
someone.
pretty much gonna submit
No.
what you give them.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
they don't have
I can do
writers
that.
anymore. They expect you to give content, then they edit it, and then they print it.
Okay, well, do you want me to do that and present it at the next meeting?
I don't think we have to wait. I mean, it's pretty obvious something we all wanna do. I mean, if you can get something together and
Okay,
just blast it out to us, and we can make comments
I
one
will
by
do
one
that.
back to you,
okay.
and come up with a final resolution. We need the QR codes and the individual links for the maps, because that way.
That's coming from them.
Right, but that's the thing, but I'd like to include it in the article, because then anytime it's presented electronically, and we'll have live ability to get to those maps.
Well, if somebody can just send me the
Yep.
bones, then I can flesh it out from
Yep.
there. So, I just need like the.
Why would we do links when we could just say go to Merrimack Outdoors and the links are there? So
Oh,
that you
just
don't
put
have.
the QR codes in there, people can get to it with their phone.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of an interesting, I like that. Let me geek out a little bit here, would you? God's sakes.
I think once we get it on the website,
Yes.
we could just say merrimackoutdoors.org.
Yeah.
Boom. Everybody can go there
Yeah.
and get what they need.
Yeah.
They want the little QR codes, or they can just go to the map.
Fine.
If you give them too much stuff, it's going to be like, it's overwhelming.
One thing, the couple of times that I've been in the Merrimack Outdoors website, there, maybe I've missed it, but I can't see any reference to the Conservation Commission.
Right,
And I-
that's intentional.
Is it intentional?
Yeah, there's one blurb on the bottom of the first paragraph that says, for business, for the Conservation Commission's business, click here and it takes you to the town website where we have
Yes.
our agendas and minutes and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
This was really meant to be, this is our outdoors, this is how you learn about how to get to things, so that was intentional.
Mhm.
So-
Does it join up with, I shouldn't be asking this, taking the time at a meeting, does it join up with the Parks and Rec land at all?
Does any of our property join up with their land?
No, the Merrimack
websites?
Outdoors website.
No, not specifically, but we do link back and forth to each
Yeah.
other. So Matt Kasparius on his webpages links up to outdoors, okay?
Okay.
There's a link to Parks and Rec from Merrimack
Yeah.
Outdoors.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
link back and forth, yep.
Good enough.
We good with this?
Yeah.
Done? Are we closed on that item? Thank you, Gina, for getting that information together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right, new business. This is you, Gina.
It's me.
Presentation of the Friends of Merrimack Conservation.
Okay. All right, you all take one and pass it down. You want to take a few minutes and read through, or shall I just launch right into this?
Launch.
Launch,
Yeah.
okay. I will admit, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And you may read through this and say, So on Tuesday, May 2nd, I met with Paul McCallie, the Merrimack Finance Director, to discuss requirements to start a nonprofit organization aimed at earning money to replenish the Merrimack Conservation Commission's Fund 53, which is where we get money to do fun stuff like buy the property we just discussed earlier. The working name of this proposed nonprofit group is right now Friends of Merrimack Conservation. That is up for discussion. As I discussed with Paul, there would be some considerable startup costs, mainly for attorney and accountant fees. We're estimating that would be about $2,000 for the first year and would drop significantly after, because, it's the startup costs. So the startup costs would include, we'd need an attorney to file paperwork for 501c3 status, which is tax-exempt nonprofit organization with the federal government IRS. If we could find an attorney in the community that would volunteer some time to file this paperwork pro bono, that would cut the startup cost considerably. We would need the attorney to establish the Friends of the Merrimack Conservation as a nonprofit organization within the state of New Hampshire. I'm not exactly sure what the whole difference is between those two, so that's another thing we need the attorney for. The attorney would also assist in drawing up bylaws, articles, and any rules required. We would either need insurance for on-site events, and/or the Merrimack Conservation Commission would have to sponsor the Friends of the Merrimack Conservation, and every participant would have to sign a waiver stating that they would not sue the town. We discussed this earlier about insurance. And we would need an accountant to file a tax return yearly, and that would be a yearly expense. The paper return is Form 990. And again, if there is an accountant out there who would offer pro bono services, that would eliminate more expenses. Before filing the 501c3 for 501c3 status, we would need an executive board consisting of a president, a treasurer, and a secretary. A vice president would be helpful, but as far as I know, that's not required for approval. And we would also need to choose a bank to set up an account. And Paul McCallie believes that DCU has been used by other local nonprofits. So his suggestion would be that we look into a credit union as opposed to one of the bigger banks, and I agree with that. Also nice but not necessary before filing. Necessary after would be a website for Friends of Merrimack Conservation, which would link to our www.merrimackoutdoors.org. A plan of action for membership, including a list of fees and descriptions of membership perks, which would be similar to how the Friends of the Merrimack Library, they have, when you pay a membership, I think it's like $10 for a person, $5 for a student. There's a family membership, and that gets you little perks along the way. So we would need to decide what we want to do with that. A plan for educational events and fundraising activities that will highlight each Merrimack Conservation Commission's property's unique aspects. Some suggestions would be like a gnome fairy house walk, a scavenger hunt, wildlife watch hikes, wildlife expert guest speakers, Friends of Merrimack Conservation items for sale, such as rut sacks, insulated water bottles, hats, calendars, etc. So the problem that we are starting with is that initial startup cost. And also the fact that I can't do this by myself. I would need to walk into this with two other people, namely we'd have to have president, treasurer, and secretary. And this is how I am. I mean, I am talking to everybody. I was getting my hair cut the other day, and I'm chatting away with the lady next to me. And she's like, I live in Merrimack, so Julie, if you're out there. She's like, I'm interested. I said, well, here's my information. So Julie, if you're out there, email me. So this is what we have. This is what we're up against.
Who holds your money now?
The town, it's a town fund.
A town fund. And when we were doing Watson Park, when we were just getting started with Watson Park, we circumvented this 501c thing because we realized, found out, same as you, how extensive the problem is. And we had Paul held the money in a separate,
Yeah.
actually kind of a line item. I don't think it's like a separate account exactly, but we knew how much there was in it.
Then how did you?
And it was nonprofit, excuse me.
Yeah.
It was tax deductible because the town held it, and the town of Merrimack is tax deductible. It's a nonprofit in and of itself.
Okay, so say that somebody wanted to give us a donation of $100, and then they wanted to be able to put that against their own taxes and take a tax deduction.
No problem. We even had a letter in the Watson Park Committee stating our tax exempt status to give to people.
Is that still a committee?
No.
So it's disbanded?
Defunct.
It was for a certain purpose and then went away?
That's what we declared, yes, exactly.
I think that might be the difference, because this is something that we're potentially intending to keep.
So that
We
was
could
a-
have.
That was a
There
town,
wasn't any,
it was a town-created committee. They were appointed by members of the town council,
yeah.
and therefore the town was the recipient of all funds. And every so often, the town council would have to approve acceptance of those funds.
We even had the opportunity to have a $5,000 limit to what we could take and not have to get approved.
So that was created and sponsored by the town, that's the difference.
Yes.
So the town creates us as the Conservation Commission, and people can right now write a check for conservation purposes designated for Fund 53, and they could enjoy the tax write-off of that, if they wanted to do that right now.
You mean to write a check to
To the town of Merrimack
Yeah.
for Fund 53,
Yes.
and they could take a tax break
Yes.
on that. People can do that right now.
Yes.
Without a Friends of Merrimack Conservation. But what we as a commission would need approval for would be to do our own fundraising. And that's the difference here. You're talking about a group that's going to fundraise for Fund 53.
But it's.
Because that was what we were all about, too.
Right, but that was in your charter and the way that committee was created. It was
How about the
created-
Oh,
It was created to generate a plan for the park
Yeah.
and to raise funds.
Yes,
Because
it
it was
was.
supposed to be tax neutral. There was supposed to be no impact to
Right.
taxes to put that all together.
right.
If that's the way it was originally created when Harold was and Barbara
Yes,
were doing
indeed.
it, so.
I believe
the
when we
difference.
initially spoke about creating this group, Friends of Merrimack Conservation, that fundraising, of course, is a thing, but it's also to educate people about our properties. So it's not just like, give us money, it's, sure, we want to fundraise, but we also want to teach you about the point of doing these events at our properties is to teach people about the properties.
Right.
So, and the other thing too is I didn't read the article because this weekend was just crazy, but I did see an article about some nonprofit that lost their nonprofit status because they didn't follow the rules.
Oh,
So-
it's the arts group in Nashua.
Oh, I thought it was a baseball team or something like that.
Oh, that could be too.
Yeah. But, I mean, one of the things that I've admired about the Conservation Commission before I came in was you guys are very rule following. So, you know, if we're going to do this, I want to try to follow the rules as much as possible. So,
Yeah.
and that's why lawyers, very nice.
How is the Friends of the Library set up?
Well, I'm going to talk to them. As far as I know, I'm not sure that they are set up the same way. I know that Merrimack Friends and Family, which does a lot of fundraising, they're set up, and they're probably someone to talk to, but I'm not sure if the library is set up as strictly as this, but I do need to speak with them.
The library is kind of a similar type of an organization in that you're an independent, you're fairly independent, as opposed to Parks and Rec or something like that, as is the library.
Right. Exactly. So I guess the question is, I mean, if we start out and there's $2,000, you know, that we have to outlay, and we don't make that in the first year because we haven't gotten our running start yet, that will come out of Fund 53. I mean, we might not be at $2,000 on the first
Well,
year.
that would only come out of Fund 53 if the commission decided to expend those dollars in that
Exactly.
manner.
Exactly. That's why before I start going on this, that needs to be a consideration, so.
Well, Tim, you brought up a good point, is that we are, half of this we can, most of this we can do right now.
Correct. Yeah, but if we were actually going to be actively fundraising, we would have to have a discussion with the town council about doing that. What is the rules and regulations as to what we want to do? Because that's not in our charter.
It's not in your charter to raise money apart from
Correct.
the way you generally get it from
Right.
land sales.
Yes.
Well, I think that there should be that conversation because frankly, as a citizen of the town, I just would think it's too bad to put another layer of red tape onto a town committee.
It will be a tremendous amount of work to get a nonprofit up and running.
Yeah, that's my point. It seems like this is going to be a lot of work, and it's like, well, I think it would be less work to just go to town council and say we're gonna have another subcommittee that does nothing but, education, outreach, and fundraising.
Well, let's put it this way too, because I'm looking, after I'm talking to Paul, I'm going, Paul, it's so much work. I said, I thought I could just like put on a pair of shorts and go stand on the intersection of Continental Boulevard. And he's like, first of all, you don't. And second of all, you need a permit to do that too. But yeah, I mean, there are rules for everything. I mean, even the kids that are standing there for car washes, they're supposed to be getting some sort of permit. I don't know if they do or not, but you can't just go out and panhandle money, so.
What is in your charter now, though, when you said those three things, the outreach and the fundraising and the educational component, it sounds like that's part of a charter of
Well,
the
we
typical.
do that. We try to
Exactly.
do something once a month.
Yeah.
We're not entirely successful, but we do.
Oh, yeah.
And we do expend some of our funds for educational purposes. We've sponsored kids to 4-H clubs in the past. We've done lots of different things.
Have you ever gotten grants?
For,
We try.
Yeah, it depends.
But you do try.
We have, but it depends on the grant, because certain grants come with strings. And we've been
They all
told by,
come with something, yeah.
right, and we've been told by previous councils or select boards in the past that certain strings aren't acceptable.
That, they are mellowing
Right?
on that.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
we've pursued and received grants as a Concom for development of trails and such, but not for fundraising. If that's, I'm not sure if it was your question.
Well, that's a kind of a fine line,
Yeah.
too.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were like the Greater Woods, that started with a grant with the school.
Oh,
And all those trails were developed off of grant money, and then,
Oh, okay.
and then we started doing the logging, and that paid for the rest of it, so.
yeah. So you were
We-
fundraising to,
We were fundraising for a specific one-time
well,
item, and that was the end of it.
well, if that's all that matters, then
You
this
know,
group could do that as well.
Well, I mean, if we wanted to fundraise specifically for the Sklar property, is that something that we could do without starting a nonprofit?
I would suspect we could. You have to talk to Paul about,
Yeah.
and how to go about doing that. So right now, we have a Horse Hill Nature Preserve Fund
Okay,
that can accept money. People can say it's designated for that.
okay.
But we don't actively run out and say, hey, or donate money to Horse Hill. We just haven't done that.
However, when there's the snowshoe race every
Yeah, I
year,
was gonna say, we do,
we get a donation from the race company that puts that on.
Mhm.
Every time they have a race, they make a donation.
And what do you do
Is
with
that-
that?
It goes into the Horse Hill Fund, and if a bridge is needed, the materials for the bridge can be purchased from that fund.
Yeah.
But now, there's a restriction, though, on the Sklar property that we can't have commercial. So how does that work with fundraising there? Wasn't there a restriction for
It's-
commercial?
yeah, yeah, but that's like, you can't put up a ice cream stand.
Yeah.
You can't put up a business, you can't put up a commercial business there.
That's what commercial means.
Okay, so in other words,
So
but if,
recreational activities are gonna be supported.
but if we were doing a recreational thing and we were selling ice cream to benefit refunding Fund 53 because we took money out to purchase this property, would that be okay?
I would think so, yes.
I believe the language would allow that.
Yeah,
yeah.
again, it's not a permanent structure, it's nothing that's gonna impact the, we're not gonna put it in the wetlands, they're gonna be local.
So instead of going through all of this red tape, should I be thinking of things that we can do to raise money specifically for certain projects that would not require something like this, or?
Yeah, we would have to understand how the town would want to structure some of those events, like, do we need to get a permit? Do we need to, if we're gonna have an activity, do we need to then have people sign a waiver, that kind of stuff?
Right. It's like Parks and Rec, we just had they were making the ferry house things, but that was something that they did at Wasserman, and I don't believe that there was money involved with it. I'm not sure how it worked. It was a registration thing. So,
I would not think that I wanna limit this to a project, though. I mean, if for whatever reason, somebody wants to donate, $50, okay.
mm,
And we use, I mean, we're very open about what we use the money for. I mean, we build bridges, we're turning more into on the property maintenance versus property purchasing, but, we sponsor events at the school,
I don't want to sound tacky, but I mean, is it worthwhile putting a donate button on the, either the Merrimack Outdoors or somewhere on our website that links into an account? I mean, I've seen those before.
I never pursued it, so.
Yeah.
we'd
I
have
mean,
to-
at this, but
I
this,
think
this
that's
is,
probably where we'd have to go get with Paul and find out,
Yeah.
how do we, if we wanna do something like that, how do we do it, make sure it's legal and make sure it's, because if someone donates money to us, I mean, we are de facto a nonprofit, and they should be able to take, you know, they should be able to take some type of tax relief.
Do you ask permission when someone does give you, want to give you a donation? Do you go for permission? So many of the groups, like the police, really, they will come for $50.
Well, technically, you're supposed to, because it's not, we're not allowed to accept a donation. Only the town council can accept a donation.
But the library, for example, I think that we're not going to solve this problem just talking about it, but I know that the library doesn't come. They had their book sale a week or two
But
ago.
that's Merrimack, that's Friends of the Merrimack Library. So because they're a nonprofit, they don't have to now.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So,
But when they want to move the money from their account into a town account, that's when they would have to get acceptance of funds.
But they do every year. It's in their budget that they fold it into their budget, and we don't say one way or another
Well,
whether they should do that.
maybe the trustees of the library are allowed to accept that donation.
Yeah, I think that there are certain.
There are RSAs that cover the library that are,
I think there probably are.
right, so,
Yeah.
We don't have that layering.
Yeah.
right.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And
Well,
besides, no one, I don't remember anyone ever trying to give us money. They've always, it's property.
Just that
Easements
raise.
and property. It's
yeah,
not, it's,
like
you know,
somebody in their will.
right, I mean, that's,
It's only land. I think they probably think of
Right.
giving.
Yeah.
right. So that's not really something that I remember having happened.
Right, I don't recall either, but,
Well,
we
I
have-
mean,
and we
it's-
haven't solicited for donations either, so this is kind of new territory.
Right,
Yeah.
but I guess my question is, because, I mean, this is, I mean, you have seen me in the woods, you know it's not pretty, so, I mean, but the only thing that I know how to do really is from fundraising at Thornton's Ferry, and I mean, trust me, those parents would run for me, because it'd be like, there's Gina, she wants money, so. But I mean, are you guys squeamish about starting to, you know,
No,
actively look for funds?
Yeah, I think we should, if you don't mind having another round with Paul to
Oh,
talk about
absolutely.
these kinds, what
Okay.
would be the process,
Mhm.
so we know how to.
Is this something that I should bring up at a town council meeting, so that, you know, Paul
Well,
is there and?
Well, I would have the discussion with Paul first, and
Okay.
he would recommend to the town council if he felt it was important.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what we should do is, we should stop here first, have a discussion, and then the commission goes to the town council and makes the
Okay.
proposal.
I wouldn't mind sitting with you and
Okay.
Paul,
Okay,
because
that would
I'm
be good.
curious too, and I
Okay.
have a little bit of experience with it.
That would be great.
with
This just seems like an awful lot of work, you may be duplicating something we can already do.
Well,
So
So-
when you first brought it up, I kind of, excuse me, I'm
Okay.
sorry for talking over you. I thought your intent was to have something independent, so that you weren't necessarily tied to the commission and all that. So you'd have some freedoms to do, as a nonprofit, to do things you want to do, without having to say, commission, can I do this, commission, can I do that?
is that what you prefer that I do?
No, I thought that was your preference. I maybe misunderstood.
Wow,
So-
but Paul told me I can't stand in shorts out on Continental Boulevard, so that blows that. So. I guess the thing is that yes, I could think about that, but since it all boils down to trying to raise money for the Conservation Commission, you know, I don't want to, essentially, you guys, whether you want to be there or not, you're gonna be, you know, I'm kind of shining a light on you. So I don't want to do something that you're not going to be comfortable with me doing, so.
No, well, for me, I'm not uncomfortable by that. All I can say is, for me, it's probably not something I can participate in for quite a while.
And I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And I don't really anticipate any of you guys
Yeah.
participating in that. I'm trying to bring other people in
Yeah.
so that we can kind of start our own little subgroup off of that.
And I can certainly work with Wendy, our web developer, to
Mhm.
create an avenue for people to donate once we know what the rules are.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
Right.
So I will talk to Paul.
We set up a PayPal account, whatever.
Yeah, I've been working out in the trails
Mhm.
and had people walk by and say, can I give you a donation? And it's like, no, like, you know, that's not what, you know, we're out here doing this for. It's,
Yeah.
you know, a volunteer type thing. But if we did have a place on the website to say,
It would be nice to be able to turn those people to hey,
Yeah.
click here.
go to MerrimackOutdoors.org and you can. There's a donate button.
There's a tax deductible donate
Yeah,
button.
yeah.
Even
That, I mean,
better.
that would be great because I've had people try to hand me cash before as I'm installing a bridge or something. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, you do all this work, oh, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing is, it would, I mean, I don't know if people realize that because we're not getting any money from the town council for this property by the river, are we?
No.
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 So this is all coming out of Fund 53.
Correct.
And once Fund 53 is empty, how are we going to replenish it?
Good question.
Put,
So
put
that's-
on some shorts and go stand on Continental
Yeah.
Boulevard, apparently.
Trust me, I will have to pay people if I do that. They're not going to want to see
There's
that.
not much left in current
That's,
use.
that's why I'm
Right.
thinking this, and that's why it's like, you know, trying to figure out ways to make some money to replenish that.
Mm.
You know, I mean, it would be great if we could make, even if we could make $10,000 a year to replenish that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, something.
No, I
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
agree.
Okay,
I'm right
We're-
there with you.
we're-
all right. You know, and I don't want to be like the, you know, having people run away from me anymore because I turn them upside down and shake them by the ankles to get their ankles out. But if people want to donate towards these properties, you know, the money is going into purchasing more properties to for you know, for your children and your grandchildren, so that,
And more importantly, the management of the properties we have now.
Yeah.
And that's really the
Exactly.
direction
Bridges.
we're turning to,
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
Because the current use land in town it's a diminishing,
well,
it's a
and it's
diminishing
hard to,
quantity, so.
right, it's hard to, because the town's not going to give us money for, is the town going to give us money for the police details to patrol these properties?
Sounded like it.
Sounds like it.
Well, then, okay, well, that's
Yes, they
good.
are.
Okay, then that's good, so.
But I think a great step is both of you going to
we'll
meet
go
with
talk
Paul.
to
I think
Paul.
that would be,
Okay, talk to Paul.
with your experience
Jackie.
in Watson.
I
Yeah,
mean, it may take a while, but this might lead to something,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
and
profitable.
I'd be even, well, we'll deal with all that as we come to it.
Mm. Well, and that's just it. I mean, even if when we have events, you know, if there are ways that we can kind of be there, like they did with the Merrimack Dog Park, they always had a table, you know, kind of set up. And I mean, when you guys have events, I would be happy to sit there at a table and try to, you know, solicit donations.
I've been there, you know, with the Watson Park, and it was such a worthy thing that we needed money, and that we were supposed to be tax neutral,
Yeah.
as you say, Tim. And we really, that was a slog.
It is a slug, but you know what? It's like every dollar counts. So even if people are just giving you $1 here, $1
They
there.
weren't. They honestly weren't even doing that.
Yeah.
And even Gary Watson, Richard Maloon, and Phil Strait, they would sit at the where the steps go down to the water on a Sunday,
Yeah,
and I don't think they ever got a dime with all that effort.
yeah.
I think the dog park was very different, though. Dog park got a lot of donations.
It did get small. It did get a lot of small donations, but at the end of the day, the big ones were the Pet Safe.
Yeah, we had, there was a big contest. and
It
they
was
won that.
huge,
Yeah,
like
these are-
20,000.
These are people's babies, they're
And,
dogs.
and
Yeah.
a grant that we had gotten from, not LCHIP, but the Land and Water Conservation Fund, that they were, there was about $8,000 from that.
See,
So
something
that
that would be
was
nice is
a
to
lot.
tie in, I mean, to tie in with these different groups, to try to, like you could tie in with the Merrimack Dog thing and, you know, I don't know, try to work with them to make money, because they are on town land, but it's kind of with Wasserman
Yeah.
Conservation
Well,
Commission.
you sent that notice out the other day about they're doing a dog walk, right? Was that you?
At Wildcat,
About that?
Liz?
Yeah. All right.
So I mean, it's not like we're that far off. I mean, you have a dog. You don't have to go. You don't have to go just to the dog park. You can go other places.
Oh, they do.
Uh,
Yeah, I know.
All right, so
Her last one was very well attended, and from my memory, it wasn't a great day, but it was very well attended.
And there's lots of people with dogs out on our
Yeah.
properties.
Yes.
all right, so I will, Jackie and I will talk to Paul again, and
Okay.
then we'll discuss it again under old business. So,
Thank
Well,
you.
we had some kind of an accountant talk to us, Watson, I can't recall, in a long time now.
Do you want me to keep this on the agenda for next meeting?
bounce it to, if you can bounce it to the,
It'll go to old business, but
okay,
Do you
yeah, I'm not sure if
want on
we'll
the
have
next-
anything to report at the next meeting, but maybe the meeting after.
okay. Well, that's the thing. We can.
Yes.
If you don't
We
have
can s-
anything
we can
next
skip
meeting,
one, or
you
we
can-
can-
Bounce.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay,
Just
that
put
would
it
be
in the
great,
next
and thank you for coming.
Yes, you're
That would be
welcome.
good. That would be great, thank you.
Really, for my information. too.
Actually, we're moving July, May, June, July, right? We're moving to one meeting.
Yes, one meeting in July.
So the next meeting is not until the 17th of July.
Okay, that sounds
So do you
good.
want to move it to the 17th of July?
17th of July.
Right after I get back.
Oh my goodness, I can smell the off on me. Can you smell it?
No, and I'm
So used to it,
sensitive.
doesn't even bother me at all. I don't even notice it.
I sprayed it all over my pants when I was going and doing it.
What the
All
off?
right, thank you, Gina.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
welcome.
gosh, yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything on the new business?
I guess so. No, I'll wait for subcommittee updates. Sorry.
No? All right. We did have, I got one quick thing. We had we were supposed to get a request to review a lot line change, and reviewing the property did not fall in the aquifer conservation and the wellheads, so it was really not under our purview. It is, however, on, it's on an item that had some dealings with is Old Kings Highway. So there's nothing for us to review because it's not a wetlands, it's not an issue. I've been contacted by two folks though that are abutters to the property, and they're like, it seems as though Old Kings Highway has, over its course, people are putting up fences and it's limiting the passage of Old Kings Highway. And I know that was one thing that Eber was very strict on. We used to walk it and report when fences were put up across it. So this lot line adjustment is going to impact Old Kings Highway, but I'm not sure there's anything other than our own personal interest. I don't think there's really anything for us to say or do.
Not as a commission, unless we're in a butter.
No.
Not as a commission.
So, is anyone else?
Maybe the Historical Society or the Heritage Commission would be interested in pursuing this, if they were aware.
Yeah. So I believe it's going up in front of Town Council on Thursday, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
Council.
I think I did see just a small.
Really?
I believe it's going up in front of Town Council, or someone's going to talk about.
I just got the agenda this afternoon and I
So
just
somebody
glanced at it.
I think someone either called and questioned about it, or maybe it's the planning board. I forget what they said to me.
What is the purpose of the relocation, do you think?
Well, it's two parcels now, and their lot line adjustment now is going to connect them from Kramer Hill to Green. What's the name of that street at the top? On top of Kramer.
Greenleaf.
Greenleaf, thank you. So right now, the two abutting parcels, one is access from Kramer Hill, one is access from Greenleaf. When they change the lot line now, the one that goes to Kramer Hill is going to come all the way up to Greenleaf. It's going to be a piece that connects on both ends.
Oh, okay.
And that's a pretty steep. It's a pretty steep area physically.
Okay.
It's
Do they want to put the house in there, or what do they want to do?
It's two parcels right now. They were asking, they're asking, there was full price for the lots. I mean, they're nice lots. It's beautiful view. It's a great place to go walk. The neighborhood right there. There's a ton of people walk their dogs up and down that trail, and there's going to be some interest in this, but I don't think we have any purview because it's outside of any water-based or any of the. I mean, we had some interest in a while trying to see if we could get a greenway down into Horse Hill, but
I totally forgot that guy's name too. He was gonna get the tags made up. Hey, it was a gentleman that wanted to get tags made up and go run the whole way of Old Kings Highway.
yeah, and
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
the
it would have
problem
been
is
great,
that
but we couldn't support him.
it was like I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, they put the houses in on Kramer Hill, and they built the house right across it.
Yeah, that's what I was
So
thinking.
it's, you kind of lose the ability now, okay, well, it's gonna go, Oak King Highway goes down, and then it goes out to the pavement, and down the pavement, and back, you know, it's like,
So it's not an official easement or anything?
I don't think so, I don't think it
Just a
ever, well, there's
historical-
definitely
It
there's
was.
definitely easement.
It was?
It was, but
There's definitely an
certain
easement.
people
It's-
got
it's-
around it.
Yeah, it's definitely an easement, but, and it's on people's deeds, that they can't block it off. Because you go look up in Kramer Hill, all the way up there, it's,
They are.
all those properties come up to a point, and and it goes across, you know, all these properties.
They don't read
And it's
their
in their
deeds.
deed that they can't block it.
They don't
Is
read
there
them.
anything that you, that Eber tried to do to keep it open?
He was just making sure he's making sure code enforcement was aware of it.
Okay,
He used to walk it, because it goes right down by the orchard, right into the orchard, and he was you know, just a advocate for it, so.
yep.
All right, well, I'm gonna just turn it back to saying there's really nothing we have to say about it, because there's nothing for us to review. And-
I really wish we could find somebody to
Yeah.
support this. Maybe Heritage?
Heritage and historical are almost, overlapping people.
You can always, always send it to Anita.
Yes.
All right, moving on, other business. I don't think anyone else has got other business other than subcommittee updates. You wanna start?
So Wildcat Falls has not met since our last meeting, but they're trying to replan the trail day that got washed out. So there's some discussions going on. When they fix the date, I'll update the calendar and let everyone know. So, the other thing when it comes to subcommittees in general, in July is when we reappoint and appoint people whose terms are coming to an end. Like the town council does it in June, well, we do it in July. So anyone who's a chair or a rep to the subcommittee should get a hold of the people whose term is coming to an end and see if they want to be reappointed. And we should probably schedule it for the July meeting or the first August meeting, an opportunity to do all appointments for
Okay.
subcommittees. I know the one term coming up on the Wildcat Falls committee that I am the ex officio to, that person wants to re-enlist or whatever you want to call it. So,
Re-volunteer?
re-volunteer.
Re-tier?
So,
Hmm.
so that's good. It's nice to see continuity. So, that and we're coming up to another quarter with the website. So if people have ideas for things for the website, we need to spend our 3.5 hours, or we pay for nothing.
Maps?
Well, getting the maps up there, that's
Did you
easy.
get that heron picture that I forwarded to
I
you?
saw an email. I did. So.
Well, if we can get, we can talk to Paul about a donate button, then maybe we get the donate button up on the website.
Yeah, I can ask Wendy to explore ways to do that and just report on it, and that's how she spends her money this quarter, and next quarter she could implement.
Okay,
If
and
that's-
then is there a way that we could have them donate it and it would go right into Fund 53?
Well, that's what we need to talk. Well,
Okay.
first we need to find out what Paul says the rules are. But I can explore with Wendy how the mechanics of the website would work. She could look for ways to do it, so. 'Cause I suspect she's probably been down this road before with her other clients,
Mhm.
so. But if anyone else has any other ideas, certainly getting the photo gallery more mature is something we want to work on. But so. If you notice, the subcommittees all have a web page, so if you're a member of the subcommittee, you should probably look at your subcommittee page and start making recommendations for content. That would be good too. Wendy could do things. If you provide her text, she can update. Or if you want something more elaborate. So I basically had placeholders put in place. You need to provide some structure so there's some sameness to them, but that's all I've done. The actual content needs to be written and added, so. That's all I have.
So for Greater Woods, I'd like to thank Gage for spearheading the bridge project.
Yes.
You seen our cheesy boardwalk?
It's fine. I will tell you, there are a lot more middle school kids in the past 2 weeks getting to school with dry socks. Guarantee that.
Overall, I think if you look at what we spent, because we kind of had to change directions quite a few times as to what we were going to do. So overall, with what we have left over, we're still under budget, but we now have some supplies, so we have some ability to go fix things, screws, nuts, bolts, that type of stuff. So we're going to inventory a little bit and come up with a little bit better. But the bridge itself is done. We still need to kind of figure out what we're going to do with the boardwalk. It's as I said, it's a little bit of a cheesy boardwalk right now, but it's something that will keep people from getting wet. So it's up. So.
Does that end by the outdoor classroom somewhere? Where does that go into the school?
It goes to the trail. It goes right over Powell Brook there and goes into the trail. It goes up the hill into the classroom. So you go in from Bambi, end of Bambi Lane, the cul-de-sac on the end of Bambi. There's quite a lot of blowdown this winter, and it happened to blow down right into the washout that we were going to try to span. So instead of moving all those logs, we found a little what we felt was a good jog to the side, and it just changed the trail direction. And the boardwalk is now connecting from this high spot down to where the bridge is, and it goes over the brook. So, and it looks like if you go up there that there's some beaver activity up in the Beaver Meadow.
Oh, so a pond may reappear.
We may see a pond here, a little successional meadow.
Yeah, if they dam, it won't take long.
No.
Yeah. No. So our wetlands maps will be accurate again.
Yeah, also, we had a number of volunteers come out into the trails and trim back all the early summer or late spring, grow into the trails. So there was quite a few volunteers out, and I'd like to thank everybody that made that happen.
Great, yeah. I noticed that there's a lot of growth this year too.
Yeah, we had a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple areas like Drilled Rock. One of the guys that did Drilled Rock, he trimmed it way back, and the before and after is like a unbelievable difference. So big thanks to those guys.
A few weeks ago, I walked it. Last time I walked it, and it was like, wow, this is really getting tight.
Mm-hmm.
This would be uncomfortable on a bike. So, good. The next meeting is tomorrow night, right? No?
I didn't make an agenda.
Oh, okay.
I've been out of town
That's true.
until last night, so.
So we didn't post it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Later off.
Month off.
Okay. Cool. And Cindy is not here. I've not heard back from, not really heard back, but we notified Horse Hill about the vote on the trail, so we're going to have to get together and make a plan as to, how that trail's going to go forward, and then obviously the multi-use is still something that needs to be addressed, so we need to make sure we can find an appropriate path for the multi-use users to get up to that same spot. So, but other than that, I think that's it. Any other comments, Jackie? Gina?
I think so.
Mike? No? Matt? Yeah? Oh.
Let's see, you following your agenda?
Oh yeah, I missed that, didn't I? I was hoping I missed that. I guess missed. Minutes. You want to go over the minutes? Gina does. I know. I only found one thing. So.
Oh, I found more than one thing.
Okay. Why don't you start?
So I move the minutes with Gina's corrections.
Second?
Wait, because I can't say this word. Did you find that?
All those in favor?
That's a good one. And the Fardall Wildlife opening.
You'll have to read that one. I can't say that one on television. Okay, so the minutes. There's a couple of comments. I'm just gonna ignore those. The one thing that I would say, and I'm going to apologize, is it Sharon that is our new
Yes.
person? Okay. If Sharon can, when she copies these, if she can do them.
Double-sided?
Double-sided, that would save paper, and we're all about conserving. Okay, so on page, all right, I'll go commas. So on line, I need my reader later, never mind. Okay, on line, page 1, line 35. In the rear of the building is a paved area. We can take the comma out after building. Also on page 1, I guess that one can stay in. Okay. On page 2, line 8. Okay, I'm gonna have to read from line 7. So the area in the rear will continue as packed gravel, and a grass strip will be introduced along with expanded stormwater drainage. Okay. So add the word drainage after stormwater.
Could be a number of things, though. It could be treatment, it could be,
Well, that's what I was
Sure, it's
wondering.
drainage.
Runoff, drainage. I had originally written drainage, so since Gage also mentioned drainage. Does anyone remember who talked about it?
Well, I mean, it
Stormwater,
could be
for
drainage
ru-
or treatment, take your pick.
Well, it's stormwater, right?
It's,
So
well, it's
run-
drainage or
runoff.
treatment, I mean, we could, he said one of those two
Or we
words.
can, I mean, we can
Keep
leave
it
it.
drainage.
Okay. All right, also on page 2, line 19, along the edge of pavement. I was gonna put a D after sloped bituminous curbing instead of slope bituminous.
Yes.
Okay, so sloped. And then down on line 22, the same thing, create a sloped berm, so add a D after slope. Okay, and on line 43, I believe bale should be, take the I out, it should be B-A-L-E-D. On line 3, line 47, Chairman Perry noted, I would say neither trail.
Right.
Okay. On line, pardon me?
Nothing.
Okay, on line 51, towards the end of that, it says, "and said the same with the is," I would get rid of with the after the word same. So it would end up reading, "and said the same is true of the eastern side."
So, that's fine, but if these are verbatim comments, that's why it's in there.
Oh, okay,
So that may need to come out,
okay,
to have the English be correct, but
okay,
it may stay because that's what we actually said.
okay. Sounds good.
You missed grits.
I do.
This,
Oh, I did?
yes,
Where's that?
on page 2,
On page 2.
line 26.
Okay, Jackie just caught.
I didn't know it was going to be a restaurant there.
Wait a minute. Helps
And
with
grit.
cleaning, no, grit, okay.
Grits. No, that's what was stated.
It's a grits.
We
or
don't
is it-
have a lot of grits in New England.
Well, no,
Well,
but they're
grit
saying
is
they're saying particulate,
Yeah,
gritty.
Yeah,
Gritty
The
particulate, so
particles,
it means
yeah.
other grits. It could be stone, rock, paper.
so they could, they put an S on it sometimes?
Yeah, it's different.
Grit.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not necessarily grits that you eat,
Okay,
and it
that's
probably
fair
wouldn't taste
enough.
very good if you tried.
okay. On page 4, line 12, instead of Commissioner Perry, we want Chairman Perry. On page 6, line 25. I have no idea what word should be in front of an owl, so.
I heard that owl the other day. I smelt that owl the other day.
That's barred owl opening.
Bard.
See, Don, you can't do this to us because we're not mature enough to handle words like this.
That's barred owl opening.
What should it be?
Barred owl.
That's like when we were,
Bard, B-A-I-R-D, is it?
B-A-I-R-D, owl?
no, I think it's just,
B-A-R-R-E-D.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
B-A-R.
Bard,
Bard.
B-A-R-R-E-D,
Yeah,
owl
probably.
wildlife
Oh.
opening. Okay,
Oh.
thank you. All right,
That's
and then on page 7, line 33, it should be, the vote should have been 5-0-1. Miss Cindy wasn't here last week. And that is all I have.
Okay, did a pretty bad job.
Thank you for doing that.
Pleasure. It's like I said, I felt such a baby in the woods, even today when I went to read the signs, I'm like, ooh, bugs.
Gina, you didn't have to go into the woods. You were
But there was
just
still
taking
bugs.
pictures of the kiosks.
But there were still bugs. There were still bugs.
Did anything try to steal your shoe?
No,
Okay.
no, but I totally missed the TV because I was too busy swatting at the bugs, so. And I had on off.
At least you
Right.
didn't see, I had my dog at Greater Woods one day, and he dug up a little animal that we couldn't even see, it was so quick, and ate it.
The bunnies. Did you guys, oh, we're not on commissioner comments. I'll get into that after.
All right, seeing there's no members of the public, I think public comment can be closed. Commissioner comments, we can go around again. No, Matt, you still don't have
Nothing.
anything. Tim, you still don't have anything.
I got one of these.
Ooh, nice.
I'm not gonna have time to look at it for a while. Is anyone interested and they could bring it back at the next meeting?
I'll look at it.
Okay.
Mike already gave me his.
Thanks.
You had a comment, Gina?
Well, I was just gonna say, 21 years I waited. I've never seen a rabbit in my yard.
Oh.
Finally saw a cottontail, and then I noticed on, what?
A hawk?
No. I noticed on Facebook, they had a video from some wildlife place up in Ontario, and they're talking about how bunnies they bury their they kind of put their babies down, and then they pull fur out of their chest and they cover up their babies. So when you're mowing your lawn, if you see what looks like a dead patch of grass, there might be baby bunnies under there, so be very careful with that. And also, cats like to eat baby bunnies, so don't let your kitties out. Because I was talking to somebody today, and they said, yeah, my cat ate the baby bunnies. I'm like, I don't want to hear about that. So anyway, bunnies.
Mike?
no comment?
Okay. So I have one comment where the Madison Drive is still getting quite a bit of water. I'm meeting with the DPW on Friday morning to discuss some of the alternative methods maybe of dealing with some of the problems back there. I've been back there a number of times in the last week, 2 weeks. They're doing their job. They are doing their job and doing it very well. We've got water higher than I've ever seen. I've been there 25 years, and it's never had water that high. So they're back. Our little hiatus is over.
Maybe you were thinking you were gonna have to trap them.
There seems to be a cycle of about 3 to 4 years that, depending on how much trapping is done. So it's going to be, we'll talk to town and see what, because there's money in the budget. It's a line item in the budget to deal with the water problems in town. Paul started including it a couple of years ago when we did this study, and we've installed 2 leveling devices since. So it's addressed. It's being used correctly. this is an area, unfortunately, just doesn't lend itself to, there's no channel. There's no one spot. So if we put one in, here, they're just gonna go dam over here. And you put something there, they're just gonna dam over here. So it's just not really, it doesn't lend itself to having any, there's no stream bed. It's just an open field. And, sometimes if anyone's interested, you wanna go walk back there, I can take you back there. It's amazing, the length and what they've done. It's amazing. And they've been doing it for years. I mean, I'm pulling up sticks out of the bottom of these dams. I mean, I'm sinking and, well up into past my stomach. And I'm pulling sticks out of the mud that, you're talking almost 5 feet down. So they've been damming this up for a long time. We have the records from DPW back in the 70s when they were, going in there with other tools and dealing with the population. So, but that's Friday morning. If meeting down at the town office, down at the garage. So I don't know if anyone's free and wants to go down. They can come with me. If not, I'll just report back.
What time?
I think we said 9 o'clock. I can find out for sure and get back to you. I have it here somewhere. I need to put it in the calendar. But I'll let you know. Any other comments, questions?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All right, all those in favor? Passes 6-0 at 9:03.
A whole host of different factors to try and set a protective level. So I think I understand your question, but it's not the type of science where you can take an animal